So will you just regain the weight if you use something like semaglutide or tirzepatide, the weight loss injections that are very popular right now? If you use those to lose weight, but you stop the injections, are you just going to regain the weight? That's what I'm going to talk about on this episode today. But first, I have to give you my medical disclaimer. My name is Lori Aikman. I am a nurse practitioner licensed in the state of Florida. I do have a telemedicine practice where I work with patients. This podcast or these videos, however you're getting this content, is for informational purposes only. I recommend that you consult your doctor, your nurse practitioner, your healthcare provider before making any changes to your health or your medications. But without further ado, we're going to jump in.
Welcome to She's Healthy, a podcast for ambitious women on their journey to become the healthiest version of themselves. I'm your host, Lori Aikman.
Okay, so this month we're talking all about weight loss drugs. My alarm's going off. I apologize. So it is January, beginning of the year. Many of us are like getting back on our diet. We're motivated. Okay, we're going to do it. Maybe you've considered using some medications for weight loss. That's something that I do work in is medical weight loss. So we are using medications to help people lose weight. And I find there's so much you can find on the internet. There's so many opinions out there on things. And the purpose of these podcasts this month is really just to clear the clutter, to help you see the facts so that you can make an informed decision, rather than relying on like people's opinions. Like I talked to a patient the other day and she was like, well, I've heard of this more, so I'll do this drug. Where like my sciencey brain is like, let's go with what's most effective, and what's within your budget. That's also a factor too, to choose. But so here we are. You're here, you're listening to this, you want to be informed. And we are going to talk about today one of the concerns that's out there about these drugs of like, okay, you use these shots, but in order to keep the weight off, you have to keep using the shots. So is that really true? What does the data show? That's what we're going to talk about. So again, if you missed the first episode, I'm talking in these episodes right now about semaglutide and tirzepatide. Semaglutide is a GLP-1 agonist, and then tirzepatide is a GLP-1 and GIP agonist. So these are shots that you can take that they actually help to stimulate normal hormone production that happens in your body that they find is decreased, especially in patients with diabetes. So I talked about this in the first episode, but these medications were first used in people that are diabetics. But they found it helps people to lose weight because it's working on those blood sugar and insulin levels. It's also affecting the hunger, your hunger drive in the brain, and it slows down some stuff in the stomach, some digestion in the stomach. So let me start with, semaglutide has been around long. So the GLP-1s have been around for a long time. Again, I talked about that too. Semaglutide is the one that has been looked at more just for weight loss, not for diabetes. And there are a series of trials, right? When we do medical research, a lot of times they're doing randomized controlled trials. So those are like the most, okay, we're getting the best data for this when we do a randomized controlled trial. And there's more specifics, but there are a series of trials called the STEP trials that look at semaglutide. And so in particular, I'm going to talk about the STEP 4 trial, which looked at what they did was randomized. They took a group of people, they gave them semaglutide for 20 weeks. So that's about 5 months. And then after 20 weeks, they randomized half the group continued to get semaglutide, and then half the group got placebo. So they got, they call placebo sugar pill. So people, didn't know whether they were getting the drug or not. And what they found was the people who got the placebo did regain some weight. So when you look at the data, I should pull up the chart. When you look at the data, they did regain some weight, and how far they measured out. So they went out to 68 weeks. I'm gonna have to use my calculator to determine how many like months that is, right? That's over a year, right? There's 52, excuse me. So they went out to 68 weeks. And those again in placebo did regain some weight. They did not regain all of the weight according to the data. But I hear this complaint, or I hear this concern from people is like, well, I could use semaglutide or I could use tirzepatide to lose weight, but I'm just going to have to, when I stop taking the shots, I'm just going to regain the weight. So what's really going on there? And like, let's look at what that data is actually telling us. So that trial, you have to think about, okay, what is that trial measuring? That trial was measuring just the drug. Okay, so it's literally all they controlled for was these people got the drug and these people did not get the drug. They did not control for, were those people following a diet? Were those people exercising? Were they doing anything else that would affect their weight? No, all they were controlling for was those people, again, the people got the medication or they did not get the medication. So that's the bone I have to pick. Sometimes people go, oh, well, you're just going to regain the weight after you get the shot. But like, let's look at the big picture here. Okay. Those people were just taking a shot and they weren't necessarily changing anything about their lifestyle. So spoiler alert, yes, you can use these medications to lose weight, but how I practice and how I work with my patients is we're not just going to take medication, right? We're going to, okay, your metabolism has gotten out of whack, your blood sugar, your insulin levels have gotten out of whack, and food affects that. So we're going to work together to change your diet. Yes, while you're taking this medication and you're losing weight, but let's help you to change your diet so that when you do stop these medications, you don't just regain the weight, right? The other thing is then adding in some exercise. And I think I'll go into it. I was trying to decide if I was going to go into the other piece of this. So that's basically my bone to pick with that argument of like, you're just going to regain the weight. So yes, if you just take the medicine and then you stop taking the medicine and you don't do anything differently, you are going to regain some weight. But that makes sense. In the clients that are patients that I work with that take, they might do an exercise, let's be honest. Okay. If you just do a diet, even if you don't take medications and you're on a super strict diet, right? You go through a cut or something like that. I have a background in fitness and I have friends that have gone through bulking and cutting and stuff like that. If you go through a cut and then you go back to eating how you were before, yeah, you're going to regain some weight. So why do we think like, I guess my argument is like, some people are kind of like making that like a reason not to do the medication or kind of like vilifying it a little bit of like, well, you can take the shot, but you're just going to regain it. Well, yeah, you can do a diet. And then if you stop the diet, you're going to regain your weight, right? So it's all about working with your body, getting your body to function optimally, and changing those habits overall, right? Changing your lifestyle. So obviously, there had to be some lifestyle factors in place that got somebody to a place, where maybe they were obese. It's hard to gain weight like that without there being some lifestyle factors. Of course, it's not all, just you're lazy and you don't exercise and eat bonbons, right? But so let's work at the root cause, right? I'm really passionate about functional medicine and I integrate those principles with my patients of, okay, what's the root cause of the problem here? And let's work on that. And yes, we can use these tools like semaglutide or tirzepatide to help get you to your goal faster. But then we need to work on that root cause of your weight gain so that you don't regain your weight. So the other argument, which I'm just going to jump in, we'll go. The other argument I hear is that you lose so much muscle. You lose so much muscle with these drugs. And so people aren't really losing fat, they're losing muscle. Well, another thing to understand is if you go on a diet, you're going to lose muscle too, right? So there's data, there's research out there that shows, any type of weight loss, whether it is medication or it is a diet, it's very hard to lose just fat. You're going to lose. So when I work inpatient with patients for weight loss, we use a body composition scale, and it measures body water, it measures fat mass, and then it measures fat-free mass, which changes in that, right? Your bone is not going to change drastically, right? So fat-free mass, so anything that's not fat in your body. So that is some bone, that is some, skin, connective tissue, things like that, but then it's largely muscle. Right. And so we see as patients lose weight, they don't just lose fat, they lose water and they lose muscle too. So studies have shown, and to disclaimer here, these medications are being studied in people that are obese, which means they have a BMI of 30 or higher, or they could have a BMI of like, some of the studies it's 27 or higher, with comorbidities. So they are having blood sugar problems, they're having blood pressure problems, they're having cholesterol problems, things like that associated with their weight gain, even if they don't meet that obesity criteria. But data has shown that people who are obese have poor muscle quality. They're not, somebody who's obese is not often like in the gym, working out. They can be. I know people at gyms who work out consistently, right? But by and large, if we look at the whole population, most people who are obese don't have as great a muscle quality, okay, to begin with. So, right, it's not like they're Arnold Schwarzenegger under, a lot of fat, right? Most of the time they don't have a lot of, and actually we see this on imaging. I think of in the hospital when we would do CAT scans of people, you would see their body, you would see like if you did an abdomen on somebody who is very obese, you would see like their bones, like if it was their abdomen or their chest, you would see their ribs, you would see their spine, you would see all their organs in the middle, and then you would see this layer of fat around them, okay? So studies have shown that in people with a normal weight, meaning they have a BMI less than 25, when they diet, they lose a little upwards of 35% of fat-free mass, which, is going to, be muscle. All right. So if somebody just goes on their normal weight and they go on a calorie restricted diet, they go on some kind of diet that makes them lose weight, they are going to lose some muscle, upwards of 35% of their body weight. So if they lose 10 pounds, right, 3.5 pounds is muscle, right? Then in people who are overweight, which is BMI of 25 to 29.9, and people who are obese, which is a BMI greater than 30, 20 to 30% of their weight loss is fat-free, is fat mass, is fat-free mass. So those people are losing muscle. So no matter what, if you're losing weight, you're gonna lose some muscle too. So this like, oh, these shots just make you lose muscle. Well, any kind of diet, any kind of weight loss plan, you're gonna lose muscle. So this one, a particular study, and just like any kind of intervention, there's also studies, bariatric surgery patients. So somebody who has like a weight loss surgery, right? They lose up to 30%. So it's somewhere between, I think most of the data is showing 20 to 30% of the weight you lose is going to be muscle. Okay. So they're looking at the studies now with the semaglutide, where there is loss of fat mass, and it's falling in these same percentages. So yes, people are losing muscle, but if you do a diet and you don't do semaglutide, you're going to lose muscle too when you lose weight. So again, what I look at and what I like to do with my patients is let's look at root cause, right? We talked about in the last episode how a lot of weight gain is a blood sugar and insulin problem, which is why these drugs are really helpful. Not only do they affect hunger, not only do they make you feel full through your stomach, but they also affect your blood sugar and insulin levels, which help with weight loss. It helps decrease inflammation in your body, does a lot of great things. So like, again, let's look at root cause of why you gained weight, and then let's help you. So in my, when I work with clients, when I work with patients, excuse me, I've done coaching in the past and I use the word clients with coaching. But in my telemedicine practice, my patients are patients. We are, I'm using my medical license. We are prescribing medications. So sorry, I just had to clarify that. But with my patients, if they're on a weight loss program, we are we're helping them with their nutrition. They're getting support from their success coach that's helping them with making sure they're eating enough protein to minimize muscle loss, right? They're getting in the gym. They're starting to do some exercise to help maintain their muscle, right? And then we're also, using medications if they want. They can also do just nutrition and diet without medications. But again, looking at that root cause and going, okay, so you need some muscle, and you do need muscle. That's another, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? Something that I assumed but maybe you didn't know, is that muscle mass, having a good muscle mass, especially for women as we age, is very, very important for us. It is really important for our metabolism, for maintaining a healthy body weight. So muscle is going to increase our metabolism. The more muscle we have, the more we're going to increase our metabolism. But muscle also helps to improve insulin sensitivity. So as we build our muscle, as we exercise, we build some muscle up. And I'm not talking like bodybuilder. I'm just talking like doing some weight training, keeping your feeling strong in your body. That is going to help. So keep your blood sugar and insulin levels from getting too high, which causes weight gain. Okay. So, and again, I'm talking in this podcast, I'm talking to the women in their 30s and 40s, typically, or most of the women that I work with. Sometimes they're in their 20s, sometimes they're in their 50s, but mainly in their 30s and 40s. Their hormones are starting to change, and their body composition is starting to change. And this is some of the problem that's happening, is as we age, we start losing muscle and we start gaining fat. So we've got to do the lifestyle things to help that, to help maintain that muscle, to help maintain that normal body composition, good blood sugar, good insulin levels. And yes, we can use weight loss medications to do that in the right setting. So I'd love to hear if you learned something in this episode, if you got something out of this. You can find me on Instagram at Lori Aikman. I'd love it if you just shoot me a DM. Hopefully you don't hear my dog barking out there right now. If you are in Florida, so my telemedicine practice, Queen Bee Medicine, is launching in the early February. So if you are listening to this podcast prior to then, I invite you to join our wait list. So I'll put the link in the show notes to our wait list. If you join our wait list, you are actually going to get access to founding member pricing for the first year. So I invite you, even if you're curious, you're not sure you're going to do it, join the wait list. So at least you have the option of getting that, founding member pricing. But again, go to the show notes. So it is a direct primary care practice, which means, we're like your normal primary care doctor, right? We can do sick visits. We can do medication prescribing. We can do, your annual visits. We can do weight loss, all those types of things. And then we're going to help you with a little more than that too. So yeah, anyways, I don't know where I was going with that. Link in the show notes. Check it out, join the wait list. If you're listening to this after February, we'll change the link. So it just takes you directly to our website where you can get more information. And unfortunately at this time, we are limited to the state of Florida. We'll be expanding to other states later this year. I'll tell you about that for upcoming podcast episodes, but for now, just Florida. But anyways, I'd love to hear what other questions you have, and I'll be back next week with some more episodes talking about some of the other concerns. Safety is a huge one. We're going to be talking about that, side effects, and then who are the right people for taking semaglutide or tirzepatide. All right, I'll see you in the next episode.